it increases hate for the country. No. You know what increases hate for the country? When dumb fucks say learning about slavery accurately hurts my feelings. That's what increases hate for the country. What do you mean? Let's just make shit up then, because it'll make everybody feel better. Yeah, when you oppose genocide in loud and angry ways, what I hear is an attack on me personally, someone whose support for genocide is deeply connected to my identity. If your liberal is acting out, they might just be bored. Show them this tweet and it can keep them occupied for up to 2 years. Oh, well, you know who defeated slavery? The Republicans. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Okay, but right now in 2025, you're the motherfucker defending Confederate statues. Your friends who are wearing the stars and bars are going out to vote for Republicans. What am I supposed to do with this information? Like, what do you mean? So why are you defending it then? Okay, defend the Republicans, historic Republican Party. It makes no sense. Like, that is an active denial of the reality that you can see. Who represents the interests of the Confederate South right now? Okay, a modernized version of the same racial pecking order. Republicans do. That's it. That's it. What do you mean? You're the one who's defending the Confederate statues. You're doing that because it's a reinforcement of the racial pecking order. The reason why those statues were fucking planted outside of courthouses was to remind black people how things used to be and how things still are. Yeah. It's a very stupid meme, but it's true. It's like, you know, it was the Democrats who fought for slavery. Like, I don't understand it. I'm Turkish. Okay? The Armenian genocide happened. I think it's fucking insane to not acknowledge it. And the Turkish government certainly does not. Right? It's like, I don't understand how people hold on to this gripe to deny historical atrocities. Like, why would it be something that you are still, like, the only way that it's still connected to you now is if you refuse to reckon with it. If you refuse to understand it, there is no way you're not understanding this. The only people these things identify with is their country because they have nothing else. They're sad they didn't get to do it. No, I mean, I understand what the motivations are, okay? I understand what the motivations are for why they want to shelter people from the fucking truth. I'm just saying it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. The only reason why you oppose an accurate reflection of history is because you kind of either like the events that unfolded or you're still trying to, at the very least, like, continue to defend it, and you take advantage of the lack of knowledge.
And that museums put too much focus on the role of white people who participated in that terrible institution. And now tonight, that same argument is being pushed by the President of the United States. Donald Trump says that one of the reasons for his crackdown on Smithsonian museums is, quote, everything discussed is how bad slavery was. What we try to do on this program is create a platform for discussion and debate. It's
also so funny because, like, Republicans will always be like,
that reflects the very real differences that exist in this country. It's what echo chambers in our society fail to do, frankly. But on this topic, it's important to say objectively, slavery was indeed bad. It was evil, the nation's original sin. And it is impossible to understand the true history of this country without fully grappling with slavery's impact. Simply because of their birthplace and the color of their skin, the bodies and spirits of black men, women, and children were exploited for profit and power. They were forced onto ships, bound by shackles and collars that ripped off their skin. One older man described it as iron entering our souls. Some chose to jump into the waters infested with sharks rather than feel that iron. Now, once they arrived on this very soil, they were forced to work by way of the whip, despite being starved, sleep deprived, threatened, tortured, physically and psychologically. They were auctioned off, humiliated, fearful, and separated from their families and their children. Black women and girls were raped and sexually assaulted. Many were brutally murdered and mutilated. Now, this endured for decades, centuries. And even in the places where slavery was not legal, institutions from our banks to universities were built on enslaved labor.
Oh, Abby, this is hurting my feelings. Why are you talking about this? It's hurting my feelings. Oh, man. Oh, I hate hearing about this. It's like, dude, that's what you sound like. Like, if you're the type of dude who's like, nah, this hurts my feelings, I would rather not learn about this. This is fucking insane. What do you mean? It's like incredibly important part of American history. Of course people are gonna fucking talk about it. Why the fuck do you think the Civil War was fought? Like, what? It's so stupid. I can't believe it, dude. We're at that stage now. It's like talking about modern German history without mentioning the Holocaust. The fuck? Yeah, it made me snort. It's so dumb. My feelings.
The North and in the South. And for many of the white Americans who did not personally own slaves, they benefited from a caste system that concentrated wealth and political power in their hands. So, when we acknowledge the existence of black people who operated George Washington's Mount Vernon or the black hands that built the White House, we are acknowledging the existence, the perseverance, and the contributions of the souls that white supremacy sought to erase. Those people built families, they developed a culture, they were the keepers of the faith, cultivators of community. And they are the ones who deserve credit.
This also is important to understand, like, black identity. The reason why you can point to a black culture, but you can't really point to a white culture outside of what it's not, which is its proximity, its distance rather to blackness, is for this reason. Because black culture, African American culture, was designed, was created, born out of this chattel slavery system that engaged in the cultural erasure of Africans that were forcibly sent here as cattle. That's why there is a thing that you can point to as black culture, because it's born out of the collective identity of people who were enslaved and had their culture, their language, their ethnicities removed. Pointing this out is not reverse racism. It's just the truth. In America, white people can point to being Polish, being Greek, being German. Some of these were not considered white initially as well, but have obviously gotten under the being Hispanic, under the umbrella of whiteness now. Okay? You can trace your lineage back to whichever ship your great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother took. Black people don't have that. That's why they're black. Yes, Italian too, Irish. It's so crazy that any sort of discourse around this is met with so much animosity because it makes people feel bad. Like, what the fuck are we doing, man? It's ridiculous. And then you have to constantly find yourself in a defensive posture against people's feelings. Like, I can't. Like, what am I supposed to do? That's your problem. It's a thing that happened. And it's important to analyze the thing that happened. especially when you are reflecting on contemporary black existence. This is a very important thing that happened that still plays a formative role.
For forcing America to rid itself of the stain of slavery. Now, all of this information, these stories are from the Smithsonian's African American History Museum. And I share this not as a lecture for you, but as a lesson. America, the superpower, is largely possible only because of the superpowers of people who went lifetimes without the same rights of generations who were boosted from their backs. True history should include everything. Yes, the evils and the horrors too. And museums are supposed to be places that protect those stories, the images, the lessons, the very things that inform so much of our current state of our republic, from racism to poverty. No matter how painful, or in the president's words, how horrible the lesson. Now, just listen to one formerly enslaved man describe what slavery is like in his own words.
You know what I'd rather do? If I thought that I'd ever be a slave again, I'd take a gun and just end it all right away. Because you're nothing but a dog. You're not a thing but a dog.
We are here in the studio with our panel, Leah Wright-Rigueur. I was actually surprised to see President Trump basically saying the quiet part out loud, that this review of the Smithsonian is not about even just something vague about reviewing history to make sure that it's fair. He wants to make it so that it talks less about slavery. What does that say to you?
Well, I think it's an effort. It's part of a larger effort to both stainwash and whitewash American history, and essentially erase all of the parts and disappear all of the parts that make Americans, that make President Trump uncomfortable, that feel distasteful, that are a reflection of.
I don't know how Abby Phillip will do it, but if I hear that motherfucker Scott Jennings say some fuck shit here, I might have to tune out. He just so, oh my God, he's going to say some shit. I know he's going to say some shit.
The actual real and horrific parts of our history. And I find it a little ironic. You know, earlier today, as I was listening to some of the commentary, my first thought was, wait a second. I wonder if the president has actually ever visited any of the Smithsonian museums. And then I remembered that in 2017, he actually took a tour of the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
Let me just play actually what he said during that tour. Listen to this.
I had the privilege of visiting the National Museum of African American History and Culture right here in Washington, D.C. It's a new, beautiful Smithsonian museum that serves as a shining example of African Americans' incredible contributions to our culture, our society, and our history. It also tells of the great struggle for freedom and equality that prevailed against this.
You don't understand, he was woke back then. He was also, because that was the meta.
Sins of slavery and the injustice of discrimination. The work and love of the people who helped create such a masterpiece is a testament to the legacy of so many leaders it honors.
So was it that he didn't believe what he read from the teleprompter as he recorded that video, or what?
You know, I'm really struggling to understand in a lot of ways, particularly.
Question aside, and this isn't coming from someone who supports monuments to slavers, but would you consider taking those statues down as an erasure of history? No. A monument is a testament. A monument, specifically ones that were dedicated to slavers, are created to remind people the racial pecking order. That's the reason why those statues weren't even actually fucking propped up in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War. They were propped up during periods of racial unrest. Specifically, during the civil rights struggle. You're not going to fucking forget about Robert E. Lee if your school is not named Robert E. Lee. You're supposed to learn about him in the books, in your school. Even Robert E. Lee at his deathbed recognized that he took a fat fucking L and said that there should be no monuments to the Confederacy because they tried it and they failed. And in the interest of unifying the country, it would be best to just let bygones be bygones. You don't put up a monument of someone like that in order to remind people of the worst aspects of history. You put up a monument like that to celebrate that person.
Given that the tour that he took with director Lonnie Bunch was actually a reflection of really the mastery that and really the care.
You do it to glorify the actions that took place. And for the Daughters of the Confederacy, which is where this like whole monument subject even started, and also the reason why you learn about like in southern states, you learn about the Civil War as a battle for states' rights to own slaves, but not that second part. They don't say the second part out loud. Is because of the deliberate attempt by the Daughters of the Confederacy to like undermine the historic truth of the Confederacy. And they started off immediately after.
Patience that historians, that scholars, that curators put into the Museum of African American History and Culture. It is not just about the horrors of slavery, although it tells that very important story. It actually follows this really brilliant model where you move through the museum and it tells the story not just of enslaved Americans in America, but also of the resilience, of the triumph. And in doing so, it tells a story that is very much about democracy and about a quest for democracy and the way that Americans both built.
Being racist fucking monsters while simultaneously adopting black children. I don't know what it is. I just don't understand like where it comes from in their brain. It's the same shit. It's like, dude, Michael Penis has an adopted black son. Did you got when I found out it blew my fucking mind. It was she who told me about it. Remember? Mike Johnson has an adopted black son. Laura Ingraham has adopted children from like El Salvador. Laura Ingraham. Fucking Sig Heiling every night at Fox News doing the Ingraham angle, okay? The angles, when you look at it, the swastika. She has adopted children from like Guatemala and El Salvador. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing. I don't understand it. They're like, I'm so racist, I want to fuck up the life and existence of like a literal black person or a person from like any number of different countries that I'm like actively advocating to destroy. There's nothing inherently wrong with transracial adoption, but there's this whole thing, especially among evangelicals, where they're basically doing white man's burden, where they have to take in the poor black and brown children and make them enlightened. Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? Because like, to me, when I see stuff like that, it doesn't automatically mean, unless someone is like straight up a racist person, I'm not going to immediately assume there's like some weird shit going on. Like it's all right, you know? Like I'm not an advocate for like no transracial adoptions or something, whatever. But I have seen a weird amount of people that that have truly fucked up takes about black and brown people who have then turned around and adopted black and brown children. And it is strange. The number she used of 2% is a misrepresentation of the population of slave owners because they're only counting landowning white men rather than the whole household that would take advantage of those slaves. Not to mention that one white man could own hundreds of slaves. The fact that no one on that panel pushed back efficiently is fucking disgusting. Yeah, there's that too. What is it? I think it comes down to like 25% of the population, right? Also, it doesn't even fucking matter because they fought. They fought to preserve it. The South in its entirety fought to preserve it. What are we talking about? %32%. That's just a lie. It was 0.3%. Oh, 2% if you include the North, 20 to 25% if you focus on the South. And, you know, damn near 100% of white people still benefited from it in the racial hierarchy that existed in the South. And an overwhelming majority of them fought to preserve this system. And a decent chunk of them still fought to prop up the same racial pecking order in the South in the Reconstruction period that they successfully undermined and destroyed. Like, why the fuck are there so many racialized disparities in this country to this day? Even the abolition of slavery still has an allowance for slavery through the prison system. It's in our laws. Slavery as a mechanism of punishment is still very much constitutionally A-OK. Do you ever stop talking about race or slavery? Yeah, all the fucking time, dumb fuck. It just happens to be that this is the point that they are bringing up. Why does it frustrate you so much that I'm doing pushback to people who are like, yeah, let's just like forget about slavery. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. God damn, dude. People are so gross. I don't see the fucking point, though. Why is this even a topic of discussion? Slavery happened. The black were oppressed and the whites were the oppressors. What is this obsession on the slave owner's skin color? On God, I don't understand. Americans. The focus on it comes from the fact that people want to literally whitewash incredibly damaging aspects of American history because it all goes back to the assumption that black people are in their positions in American society, in contemporary American society, because of their genetic inferiority rather than because of, again, an accurate history, an understanding of the historical events that unfolded and the continued racial dominance that exists in this nation. If you don't learn the lessons of the past, you are doomed to repeat them. And these guys are actively trying to undermine an accurate reflection of
President
history.
Trump says he has instructed his lawyers to scour through America's museums.
It's so funny because nobody ever says, hey, Trump, why are you too focused on how sad the history of slavery makes you feel? Okay? People only fucking turn around and go, why are you calling this racist? Classic. It's not the other person that's being racist that's a problem for you. It's the fact that someone is calling that out accurately for what it is. That's the issue. Okay, so you don't give a shit about racism at all, it seems. You're so woke. Oh my God. Shut the fuck up, dude. Jesus Christ. I want people to learn. I want people to know the actual history. That doesn't mean I'm woke or whatever the fuck you think woke is. I hate this shit. Okay. Yeah, I'm woke, dude. I love woke. Okay. I'm woke as fuck. God damn. It's so stupid. People genuinely do not realize that they are advocating for their own demise when they do shit like this. They don't realize that they're like advocating to learn the wrong thing. And then one day, when the dust is settled, they'll turn around and be like, how do we get here? How do we fucking get here? I don't know, man. For the last 30 years, you've been actively undermining education in this fucking country by claiming it's woke. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of how we got here. Wow, knowing history. Pff, what? How boring. How woke. That's literally how these guys started this fucking conversation, by the way. By just saying, this is woke, this is CRT, this is making white people feel bad. And now they're implementing censorship. Call it for what it is. This is cancel culture, actual cancel culture. This is actual censorship. This is an actual First Amendment violation. Republicans have always been the champions of cancel culture, champions of anti-free speech, while simultaneously constantly fucking chirping about how much the left actually wants to cancel and the left wants to censor people. Cancel culture and First Amendment violations, rather, happen at the point of the government intervention, okay? That's what the Republicans have been doing every time they demand book banning, every time they demand censorship over educational materials. That's what they're doing. That's what actual First Amendment violations is. But ask the average American in this country right now, they literally all will tell you collectively, nah, it's the left. It's the left. They're the biggest pussies around. They're the ones who want to cancel shit because that marketing has been so clever. It's been so insidious. There has never been a moment throughout this country's history where it wasn't actually reactionary forces that have actively undermined the First Amendment, whether it be the McCarthyist, Red Scare trials that took place, all the way to demanding that certain books get banned. Even at the peak of the left is joy killers and woke scolds and love doing cancel culture in like the 2014 to like 2018, 2019, 2020 era, it was still Republicans that were responsible for the largest number of books being banned in schools. Even at that moment, when it was the peak of leftist cancel culture, it was still the Republicans that were very much engaging in active censorship. It's crazy. It's crazy that people just like don't reflect on these events with accuracy.
Rid them of exhibits he considers woke, specifically citing exhibits on slavery. President Trump targeted the Smithsonian museums, saying they are, quote, out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Back in March, the president signed an executive order directing the Smithsonian.
And by the way, the reason why I always talk about like how insidious and how pervasive white supremacist thought is that it is such a formative part of social conditioning living in the United States of America that even like sometimes black people will also entertain this shit. Not this to this degree, but like when you get educated in a white dominant society, you end up reflecting that kind of ideology without even realizing that you're doing it. No, I'm not even talking about Kanye West. Like those are the most extreme examples. I'm talking about people that also do like the left is being so woke shit. Okay? Not realizing that like all of that is unironically just a reinforcement of white dominance.
Smithsonian Institution, which runs more than 20 museums in Washington and elsewhere, to, quote, celebrate American exceptionalism and remove divisive or partisan narratives. Last month, the Smithsonian removed references to Trump in an exhibit on presidential impeachments in the Museum of American History. Mentions of Trump's impeachments were later restored, although with changes. Now he's complaining about exhibits.
Yeah, I know. I saw pieces of the Amanda Seals goes against black conservatives video. It was insane. Jubilee done did it again, bro. They done did it again.
Exhibits on slavery. Although during his first term, he visited the Museum of African American History and Culture, which tells the story of slavery and celebrates African American.
It's called Double Consciousness. Du Bois, black sociologists discussed how black and brown people see themselves through the eyes of white society. Yeah, that's where the pick your pants up style black conservative attitude comes from. That's it. No, it's not Dubois. It's Du Bois. W-E-B, Du Bois. That's the correct way to say it. And it's deliberate. He specifically pronounced it like that. And there's a reason for it.
American accomplishments, and he called it a, quote, truly great museum done with love. It's not clear whether President Trump actually has the authority to tell any museum, including the museums of the Smithsonian Institution, what to put on display. The American Alliance of Museums, which represents museums across the country, says that no president has the power to impose the kind of review that Trump says he is now ordering. The organization has warned that the president's actions represent a, quote, growing threat of censorship against museums in America. Mary?
Yeah, lots of questions about where this goes from here. John, thanks.
I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Last week on this show, a guest shocked the table by arguing in part that slavery in America can't just be blamed on one race.
Dude, I hate this argument also, like always and forever. The argument is like, well, it hurts people's feelings to learn about the history. It's like, why? It only hurts your feelings if you want to defend it. Okay? That's it. Like, it's so stupid. What do you mean it hurts your feelings to learn about white people's participation in the maintenance of slavery? Like, you didn't do it. The only reason why it pisses you off is because you kind of want to defend it, and that's what it is. Also, fuck your feelings. What do you mean? It's just like an evil thing that took place. We have to learn about it. Like, what do you? Well, it's so dumb. Because Republicans had actively gerrymandered these states, and those actual initial independent commissions were helpful to the Democrats because it basically rebalanced it. Having said that, however, the independent commissions are now basically a hurdle against the Democrats. Is a hurdle against the Democrats because red states don't have it for the most part, and it's very clear that they are actively doing this. Red states don't have it. They're actively going to redistrict. They're going to try to secure as many House seats as possible. So we've got to fight fire with fire. That's what I say. Did you hear about the 4K Marines headed to Venezuela? When you say 4K Marines, it sounds like Warhammer. Yes, I did hear about it. I feel like the fact that we're encouraging gerrymandering now means we're actually over. I mean, yes, but it's a healthy attitude shift, in my opinion, from the Democrats, who are at least actively trying to fight back. Okay? Because the notion that we can't disrupt these the delicate balance that holds these institutions, we can't just like seemingly take a stand that is actively partisan, is ridiculous. Republicans have never, in a million years, Republicans have never actually had this concern. So if you're fighting against the enemy that doesn't play by the rules, and you keep pointing to the referees and going, I can't understand it, they're violating the rules, why can't we preserve the sanctity of the rules? At a certain point, you got to realize you're getting dunked on. Okay? You're getting dunked on. Do something, anything. Okay? So this is what it is. This is the thing. And I really hope that there aren't like significant setbacks, and that like liberals don't get duped by concern trolling that comes from Republicans on this issue. Okay? Yeah, there's no high road and low road. It's a dirt road. Thank you. It's time for the Democrats to get dirty. Please. I mean, it was time for the Democrats to get dirty 20 years ago. Okay? Democrats only get dirty when it's about, Democrats only pull out dirty tricks and suppression when it comes to undermining their left flank. Okay, use that against the Republicans, please. Stop using that against your left flank. We're done. We're done with bringing a knife to a gunfight. Okay. Democrats don't even bring the knife, by the way. I'm demanding that they bring the knife, or better yet, a gun to the gunfight. Meanwhile, Democrats are bringing an apology letter to the gunfight. It's over. If in order to save this nation from the grips of crippling fascist authoritarianism, you have to start playing dirty. You have to fight back. It's ridiculous. And obviously, the other side of the story is that Governor Gavin Newsom, who wants to become president, is using this to his advantage and trying to win favor nationally to become like a strong presence that actively trolls the Trump administration and become a strong presence that will, do these sorts of things in this massive state, in my state, in California. I do hate Gavin Newsom, make no mistake. I mean, there's some good things that he's done. There's some initiatives that he's actually expended a lot of social capital on, but there are so many other glaringly obvious problems that he is a clear-cut hurdle against solutions on. Homelessness is one of the major issues here, obviously. Another one is like Medicare for all in the state of California. So, he is taking advantage of this, but he is doing something that's good. And it's most likely working. Look, Governor Gavin Newsom's California redistricting proposal has a 22-point polling advantage, according to internal memo from Newsom's pollsters obtained by Axios. Holy Toledo! Harry Enton has some choice words for this. Newsom's social media strategy / opposition to Trump is working. He's gained millions of social media followers. Google searches for him are up like a rocket. He's now the front runner for the 2028 Dem nomination per the prediction markets. It's because Democrats want a fighter. Where is AOC? What are we doing? There is no world where the Democrats are actively demanding a fighter. There is no world where Gavin Newsom should take up that mantle, okay? Where's AOC? AOC, step up. Step up, step up, step up. Start batting. Start swinging. No, not podcasting, man. I don't know. That shit sucks. That's lame as hell. Gavin Newsom podcasting and like glazing Charlie Kirk on his podcast is idiotic. It's stupid. That is bad instincts. Gavin Newsom, however, getting a lot of play now not because of his like stupid, shitty AI memes or whatever the fuck. Gavin Newsom's getting a lot of play right now because he's doing this.
Yeah, I think it absolutely has been working in terms of generating attention, which is what he's trying to do, right? I mean, take a look here. Let's take a look right at the @GovPress office followers on X. That's, of course, where you get those sort of the account where Newsom posts those Trump-style mocking types of tweets. Get this. That account, get this. Up 450% in terms of the number of followers since mid-June. And it's not just on Twitter, X, where Newsom is.
See, Twitter is real life. I was right. No, this is stupid. His Twitter trolling and getting a lot of Twitter followers is utterly irrelevant, okay? It's 75% of the goddamn platform is bot activity anyway. It doesn't matter. That part does not matter. I'm telling you right now, he's gaining national prominence in a favorable way because of the redistricting fight, because he's like constantly saying, you know, dirty Donald, I'm coming for you, you know, like he's just like attacking Donald Trump. Okay, you're delusional if you think AOC is going to do anything. It's so fucking demoralizing. There's so many people on the left are clinging on to her as some sort of savior or a realistic contender on a national level. AOC could easily become a realistic contender on a national level if she was actively fighting, okay? If she was more prominent, if she was putting herself on the front lines, if she was actually issue specific, okay? Like, Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, and as the governor, he's in a very powerful position. And in that very powerful position, he's using every opportunity he can to present himself as like the number one guy to fight Donald Trump because he recognizes, he's a shark. He recognizes this is what people are demanding. People are begging for it. People are actively, they're desperate for it, okay? And we have two options. The Democratic Party currently is unimaginably weak. In that process, there will be a new leadership built within the Democratic Party's establishment structure. There's blood in the water. If it goes in the Gavin Newsom direction, that is really bad. Okay? And the reason why I say that's really bad is because Gavin Newsom is not a fighter on issues that matter. This is an issue that matters too, but I'm saying like he's using this as a way to make himself seem as though he's like the active fighter that will destroy the Trump regime or whatever. Okay? We need actual progressives, not someone like Gavin Newsom, who unironically has presented himself as a hurdle against progressive legislation in the state that the California voters consistently vote on through ballot measures that California state legislatures actively try to pass, and then Gavin Newsom vetoes. He is not a good national politician. He's not a good politician. I mean, he's a devastatingly good and charismatic politician in California, but that doesn't mean he's a good, he's going to do good policies. Okay? California is what? The 5th largest economy on the planet. What are we doing? What are we doing? We have tremendous wealth here. Why the fuck do we have so many developing nation style problems in this goddamn state? Look at the roads. Look at the infrastructure. Look at the homelessness crisis. Look at the housing market. It's the 4th largest economy on the planet. Like, it is a larger economy. California is a larger economy than Germany. Okay? What are we doing? What are we doing? We have all of the money here. Okay? Yeah, Newsom does progressive press conferences Monday through Thursday and then vetoes progressive bills on Fridays at 5, so few people notice. Exactly.
Gaining